different continent, home for us, Champions League final. We know what Nadim called. What did you expect from this game?
I expected, honestly, I expected a 1-0 Sundowns win.
By the way, you're staying next to Pretoria.
Yeah, no, I have to represent the area code. No, I expected a 1-0 Sundowns win. What I wanted from them was for them to perform similar to how they did versus Al Ahly. There was a poise, there was a calm to Sundowns when they played Al Ahly, even when they went down. I was not expecting, hey, first 5 minutes, people are giving the ball away in J. There was a ball where Ribeiro played some sort of small pass and there was no one there. And I was thinking to myself, I've never seen Sundowns shake like this. I've never seen them get into a place where, they look scared, and Pyramids came in and played their football as we expected. They weren't going to back down. They were going to go exactly at them. I don't know. Maybe it's because when we tell the truth, this is Sundowns' second Champions League final. Right? Maybe the final is very different to other games, but I've never seen them play like this. I've never seen them play like this. The only chance that I gave Pyramids was that Pyramids was going to come in.
So you mean they played well?
No, they didn't play well. Not at all. So, no. I wanted to say, the only thing was that Pyramids was going to come into this game. And when you're new to something, you're not overthinking it. You don't have any thoughts. You're just playing. I was giving Pyramids that. I just thought Sundowns was going to be a bit more of a Grotman there.
Okay. Nadim, now, again, we have to always give credit where it's due. Nadim called the first leg, he said 1-1 on this very show. And then second leg, in the build-up, the preview, he said 2-1 Pyramids win. So, both legs, you got it spot on. The reasons, what happened on the day and the reasons you gave, were they aligned?
No, they were aligned. It was always going to be there playing technically good players. You saw Grant Kekana made a mistake in that cross. Fiston Maila, one small chance, he hit it. It's a goal. Just like that. Sundowns are not used to play teams that have better quality than them.
Would you say, when you say better quality, what do you mean? Like
technically good players, pound for pound.
Do you feel that the Pyramid squad, pound for pound, player for player, is better than Sundowns?
I wouldn't go far as player for player, but overall I can say it's more like a 60-40. Pyramid has slightly better players because I can go to the Sundowns team and say, give me a striker as prolific as Fiston Maila. You'll struggle. Give me a player like Ramadan Sopi, the guy who played in the Premier League. Now he's playing in it. You will struggle to give me a player. That left back, Chibi. You know what happened to Mothiba, the Sundowns left back, where he was even lucky to finish the second Mothiba. He was even lucky to finish. He should have gotten a red card. So in terms of quality, Sundowns faced a team that has really good quality.
No, for sure.
Yeah, so with with Sundowns, only maybe Mokoena, few Sundowns players you can say they can break into that Pyramid squad lineup. Very few players, not more than 5. Even if those few, even Alain, they cannot start there. In the Pyramid.
Who starts ahead of him?
Ramadan Sob start ahead of him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just believe Sundowns, they're not a better team than Pyramids overall. Yeah. That's how I saw it. Even in terms of coaching wise, I think the Sundowns coach, that's the reason he reached the Champions League semi-final when he was coaching experience. And then he knocked out Sundowns. But immediately he won the league in Tunisia, but he was sacked immediately. He didn't start well. I think Cardoso, there's a reason why he never lasted longer in teams. So for me, how I thought Sundowns has no way of winning the tournament is because they were playing a team that is not scared of them, that have better quality. That will be strategic. Immediately Sundowns, because Sundowns in both legs had a better ball position, but who created more shots and goal and more chances, more corner kicks, where you're likely to score goals is Pyramid. I think overall they were intelligent than Sundowns. They deserve to be champions.
So when you say intelligent, what?
Intelligent
from a technical perspective, you talking about the coaching complement or
overall coaching experience? Overall coaching experience. Even in Pretoria, Ramadan Sobi started from the bench. They saw Sundowns scored. They saw that Pyramids, Sundowns were creating more pressure, wanting a certain goal. They put Sobi. Overall, few mistakes that have been made by the Pyramids coach. But with Sundowns, it's been mistake every 15 minutes in this kind of tournament.
Again, we'll talk about the coach, and it's been a raging debate, and I know you have something to say about this. The Themba Zwane thing will always come up.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that? In terms of, did they lose this from the bench or on the field?
I think they lost it on the field. Because for me, I don't think there was that much of a difference between Pyramids and Sundowns. But then it always comes down, and Sundowns plays in these places, it comes down to the mistakes. It's 2 mistakes. We can speak about how well Pyramids was doing and all of that stuff, but a cross comes in, you don't handle it properly, which we know. Was it Makesi that did something similar to Sundowns? We know that they can't deal with high balls. But then also, Grant Kekana decides to trap a ball and give it directly to somebody of Fiston Maele's quality. So I think...
Maybe you must also admit that good teams, they force you to make those kind of mistakes.
I don't even think that was a forced one. I think that what happened there is...
Okay, I'm saying it's a forced one because Grand Kekana tried to clear like that. If it's playing an average team like Makes or Chipa United, they can recover from there. With Pyramids, one shot, you've got a proper striker, it's a goal.
But that's what I'm saying.
I think he's saying, Grant's mistake is not a forced error because I think Grant actually tries to
try pass it
in the box.
So then it's like one of those things where you go, is the problem the quality of Sundowns, or is the problem that mentally they have moments where they lose it? You think about Wydad, 2-2, Vala headers the ball in, right? It's always mistakes with Sundowns, and it's glaring big mistakes. And obviously, like you say, in the PSL you can get away with it.
Now we're going to go back to that. Both of you have said the same thing because you're saying in the PSL you can make those mistakes and you're not necessarily going to get punished. There's this age-old debate where is Sundowns being tested enough in the PSL because they always fall short when they come up against the top quality on the continent. Is there any truth to that? Do you think?
No.
Is the PSL too easy for
Sundowns?
No.
It is too easy, and the Sundowns are not tested because the same team that reached the semi-final of the CAF Champions Cup, which is Stellenbosch, Sundowns easily put them aside 3-0, and then they go to Chipa United and beat them 2-0. They play Makesi, they beat 2-0. That is the road of Sundowns. Those are the recent matches they played before facing
leading
Pyramids.
up to this final.
Yes, in Egypt, Pyramids before playing Sundowns, they lost both matches. After beating one of the Pirates, they lost both matches. As a result, it cost them the league title. So they are not tested. The standard of football, there's a huge gap between Sundowns and the other teams. Even the same team that you can say it can test Sundowns. Well, remember, it's losing 4-1 at Loftus, Orlando Pirates. That is a team that is at least 13 points behind Sundowns in terms of quality. But it lost 4-1 to Sundowns. For me, I don't think they get that kind of tested. Even people like Grant Kekana, sometimes, as you say, they make a mistake against Wydad. Even sometimes we always praise them that they are good, they deserve to be the defender of the season. But it's because they are not properly challenged. For me, with the Themba Zwane's issue, I honestly feel that I don't remember Themba Zwane in the last 12 months making an impact for Sundowns. He's not been playing, he's been injured, had an ACL injury. So it's easy now that Sundowns have lost if Zwane was not going to be there. My only issue with that match is Rayners. For me, I feel that the way the coach did it almost looks like match fixing. It almost looks like match fixing.
What do you mean match fixing?
Match fixing is where a player in football scored a goal. Rayners, because Sundowns needed a goal because it was already 2-0. A minute after that, the guy scored a beautiful goal, and if you check up the average rating, was not the worst player on the field.
Sure,
you can't even say it's the kind of a guy who was an automatic to stupid substitution.
No, for sure, I hear you.
You still take the same guy out. You need a goal to win the Champions League, not to equalize the match. To win the Champions League and become the best team in Africa, you take off Rayners. For me, I would not be shocked if Cardoso is a Pyramids coach, or get a job somewhere in Egypt.
Wow.
Or get a job in Almeida. No, I'm saying I'm not gonna be shocked because for me, it almost looked like match fixing. It's scandalous.
You mean the way what happened?
Yes.
You're not saying there was match fixing. You say the way it happened.
I don't know if it was no match fixing. I can't say I'm not saying that. I don't know if there was no match fixing. I don't know. Because for me, Sundowns needed one goal to win the Champions League. And that's what the president of Sundowns, Francis Mothiba, wants. And that's why they invested so much money. It's not to win the PSL. Because they've been winning the PSL. Exactly. They want to win the Champions League. And then the guy that's just scored a goal, you take him off. Unless the coach can admit public that, guys, I'm not the one who makes substitutions in the Sundowns. Unless you say that, I can say, maybe it can't be match fixing. For me, it looks like he sold the Sundowns. Just like Ribeiro sold Pirates.
You're making the point that basically you don't understand why that sub was made. That's what you...
I do understand. And my understanding, it looks like the coach it was for other interest. It was not for the interest of Sundowns. The way I read it, that's my opinion. It didn't benefit Sundowns taking off a player who just scored. Usually, I've seen it many times in football. You played at a high level. Sometimes the guy will score a goal. 3 minutes or 5 minutes away, can get a brace.
No, for sure.
Brace are most common in football.
I'm going to agree with you for once in my life. I don't believe I'm saying this on air, but I'm going to agree with you for what I was very surprised by that. And I think I was more surprised because bringing on, and again, no issues with the sub that came on. I mean, Mothiba, we know he's got pedigree. But he hasn't played for Sundowns. Giving someone a debut in a match of such massive consequence.
Do you know what the thing is, Mark? I feel again with our clubs, we try to be too smart when we get into those knockouts. We try and
overthinking football.
Yeah, we're trying to overthink it. We're trying to overthink the football. No, like they always try and, you know, like Pirates gets into the semis, they try and play a different football than what they've been playing the whole time. Sundowns gets into this place, they put on Mothiba instead of Zwane, for example. I think it just becomes an issue where you go, are our teams able to just hold the nerve? You know, for a little bit longer. One of the things we used to say about Rulani, if you remember the Wydad game, it was, Rulani, stop playing your football now. Why don't you put on an extra defender, an extra defensive midfielder and close the game down? They tend to freeze when they get there. They do funny things. On the Themba Zwane one, it's very interesting because I don't think Themba Zwane was the wrong or right answer. My worry about the Themba Zwane situation is that the week leading up to the Themba Zwane situation, it feels as though Sundowns was a little bit nervous and Themba Zwane becomes an answer that people are just throwing. No, put in Mayema, put in Themba Zwane, instead of it being something that you're saying, I'm putting him in for this reason. So I think the Themba Zwane situation is going to be very interesting to watch going forward because, you know, Club World Cup is coming up. You're going to go into the season. Now, every time he picks a team, do you think about Themba Zwane? Every time you think, you get me? And how does that affect a coach, especially now that you've lost this game? So for me, when you go into those games, again, I don't think our teams are that bad or that they're poor, they lack. It's just that they don't have composure. Mamelodi Sundowns is used to being tested for 15 minutes. You'll see a team come out after the second half and they'll play the most amazing, they'll expose Sundowns, but they know that we just wait 15 minutes and these guys are gone.
See out the pressure.
You get me?
And
but in the Champions League,
it's different.
You know, that 15 minutes could be 2 goals. Or you have to be awake for 90 minutes in order for you to see something. And maybe that's where it's not necessarily they're not tested or they don't have weaknesses. It's just that they're not used to having to stay in a game for 90 minutes. You know,
my thing though, like we're speaking about now, the Themba Zwane issue. Themba Zwane is the type of player, if he's not going to play, why is he there? Like, if Themba doesn't need experience, we can't say we're taking him for experience or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
If Themba's there, Themba must play.
It looks like that he must be there. But remember, Themba Zwane doesn't have a good relationship with the sporting director of Mamelodi Sundowns. I know for a fact. Even the
you know for a fact.
For a fact.
So again, is that your opinion? You can't state something like that.
No, I'm saying
allegedly.
I know that Themba Zwane doesn't have a good relationship with Flemingbeck. Even them they didn't even want to give him a contract. From people inside Sundowns. I know people who speak to people inside Sundowns. Even him getting a year contract. I even know the people who were pushing hard for him to get a year contract.
I think he deserved a year.
Yeah, exactly. But the way people at Sundowns, Flemingbeck felt players like Mkulisi, Mapena should be playing ahead of Zwane at Sundowns. So if he doesn't feel it's a solution. So that's the reason also, even after Sundowns have won the league, Themba Zwane has recovered. But he was not starting those games. Why? It is a decision that almost divided the leadership of Sundowns as we speak. Because the coach might go. Because there are people who feel the coach needs to go. There are people from the chairman's side, who feel that Flemingbeck is the kind of a guy who's running the team on. So for me, I agree with you when you say a player like Sundowns, the legend of the team, a captain, you put him on the bench. But you don't even want to play him for 5 minutes. What are you doing? But the bigger scandal is not Zwane for me. Is playing Mothiba, a guy that has not kicked the ball for more than 6 months. I have never seen him playing football for Sundowns. even him traveling with the team. So for me, it gives me some shortfall about Sundowns leadership. Maybe we praise them too much that they're the best team in South Africa, they're well organized, they're a first-class organization. Playing a player like Mothiba, where Sundowns did a single goal to win the tournament. And also taking off their best striker this season, which is Rayners, a guy that has saved them so many times. For me, it looks like scandalous. I was not going to be, even if you talk of Shaulile, even though it came as it doesn't matter. But taking off Rayners, for me, I feel like there are so many Sundowns, you can say they shot themselves in the foot.
That was questionable. I mean, that I think on no matter who you are.
The
Rayners sub, again, didn't, especially in the context, just scoring a goal. One goal wins you, as Nadim says. A 2-2 draw is good enough to be champions. The Rayners sub, again, nobody really can make sense of that one.
It doesn't make sense. Okay, well, look, let me try play devil's advocate. I think maybe what Cardoso was thinking was that we're going to try be physical. We're going to put on Shalulile, we're going to put on Mothiba, and we're going to play helicopter football, for lack of a better word, to try and put that defense under pressure physically. And hopefully something will drop. Which, in the last few minutes, the ball was dropping in the box after some pressure, but then they just weren't able to put it away. But you can't excuse it. It doesn't make any sense. Also, to play devil's advocate a little bit on the Themba Zwane situation with Fleming Berg, isn't this why you'd want to get rid of Themba Zwane? Because we saw something similar with Coach Mangoba. Remember when he had problems with Mokoena Mudau?
Yes.
It would have been better for Sundowns to get rid of those two players if they were backing the coach. To get rid of those two players, because now whenever something happens, the questions were, what about Mudau? What about Mokoena? How dare you drop them? If you look at Rulani, he was allowed to get rid of Themba. Remember how Themba was moved on? So, in a very weird way. And he was allowed to take up Obonyang and put them on the bench as backing from management. Now, going forward, when you have a player as powerful as Themba Zwane, and to be fair, it's not that Themba Zwane is a bad apple. But you could hear the moment he was not played, the noise. You got everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants it. People I know from my show, people are coming onto my show and telling me that, no, Cardoso must go. How dare you? That can cause divisions. And if there's one thing about Fleming, if Fleming gets rid, Fleming, Mangoba, Rulani, he was like, look, guys, I can't have the roots of what Pizzo has done when I'm trying to do something new, right? And he gets rid of those guys.
So Themba Zwane is not part of his players. That's why Alain, they must look like a win. So for me, it feels like he didn't want to win the Champions League with Themba Zwane. He would rather win it with Mothiba, who just joined. So Themba Zwane was going to taint Fleming Berg's image.
But to be fair,
without playing devil's advocate, now, I have to ask you, and did Themba deserve another year?
No. Personally, no. No. I say no again because I look at
you. Yes, please quantify.
No, I look at it from the lens of, those players are other people's players. So Themba Zwane is not a Cardoso player. He's not a Fleming player. So then if you keep those players and they still have such pull with the supporters, it's like anything you do is going to be wrong. So sometimes it's not that you're getting rid of Themba Zwane because he's bad or he can't give you anything, but it gives people room to breathe. Maybe if Themba Zwane is not there, Ribeiro Sales, and Rayners Mtetwa, Matthew, sorry. Maybe those four players feel as though they are the star players that can carry the team. But the moment Themba comes back,
so Themba
there's a hero on the bench.
He's casting
a shadow. So I think that's why you get rid of those players. It's not because he's bad or anything.
So it's the Mbappe effect. So you feel it's almost the same way Mbappe at PSG, Themba has that kind of effect.
It's like Ozil at Arsenal. So Arteta's trying to put in something new. He's got a legacy player that is an incredible player that everybody loves. The moment something goes wrong, the cameras used to go into the crowds and show Ozil with his umbrella. And they'd go, Ozil could probably make a difference. Why don't you bring this guy? Or Aubameyang or whoever. Sometimes you move them on for that.
But what if I say to you, Mshishi still has a role to play for Bafana?
A national team is different though. National team.
How can you be good enough for the national team? Wait, how can you be good enough for the national team but not be good enough for something?
No, you can.
It's not about good enough.
You can actually. It's been proven many times. Remember when Miro Klose was a top striker at Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, but they felt that, okay, he's not the kind of a guy. We need a guy like Mario Mandzukic, a certain level of a striker. Immediately Mario Mandzukic came in, they won the treble in German Cup, the league, and the Champions League. They even hammered Real Madrid. Then the guy Klose went to Lazio in Italy to support you that you couldn't be a national team player in a club. Then German, what do they do with Klose? Win the World Cup. Who's the top goal scorer? Klose. 5 goals. He overtake Ronaldo.
2014.
Yes. Record the best striker of football. Sometimes I thought maybe it was football wise what George was saying, but I agree with him. In that context, you feel like a Themba Zwane. Maybe just give this team to Williams. He's the captain. Because I heard Williams saying, I want to deliver the trophy for our skipper Themba Zwane. Make Williams know this is your team now. Be in touch. You are creating a new dimension. So for me, with that light, because even statistical Themba Zwane has not been good for the past season. Even the whole.
Well, I mean, you can't judge him on this past season because of the injury.
No, even last season. Last season, he didn't score. Last season, he only scored 1 goal for Sundowns. Last season, he played over 30 games. He scored 1 goal for Sundowns.
Yeah, but are you saying he didn't play well?
He didn't play well. Yeah, he didn't play well.
You're talking about stats now.
I'm talking about stats.
Stats doesn't determine. Themba's role and Themba. So Themba for Sundowns and for Bafana. You're saying Themba didn't have a good year last year?
You had an excellent year. That's why I went down. I tried to give you the history of Klose. That in the German national team was the best striker. They even won a World Cup with him. But for Bayern Munich, they were giving him 2 minutes, 5 minutes up until they released him. Okay. They wanted Mario Mandzukic and Mario Gomez as their strikers.
Okay.
Not him. Yeah. So with Zwane, for Bafana, we still need him in the national team because
we still need him.
In the national team, is a different beast. We've seen him scoring against Namibia, we've seen him scoring against Algeria, but for Sundowns, they don't need him, Sundowns now.
Okay. Trust me, as a former player, that game is replaying over and over to each and every Sundowns player is replaying that game multiple times over. And at the end of the day, I think, they would know that they, to a degree, let themselves down and they could have done better. But that's a story for another day. We're going to move on, and our conversation now is going to be largely centered around these two teams that made the final because financial muscle, it seems like, is what really led to this final.